ब्रह्मानंदम परमसुखदम केवलम ज्ञानमूर्तिम द्वंद्वातीतं गगनसुदर्शं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. So we are back again on Guru Poornima morning. We have a Satsang in the evening, so I am not going to be very serious now. Okay? Let's have a light chit chat in the morning. But since it is Guru Poornima, as I said, we are back on Guru Poornima. And the thing is, how much have we worked on ourselves before we come back? Most important thing, how much have we worked on ourselves before coming back again to the Guru Poornima? So Guru Poornima is celebrated as the day of the teacher, of the Guru. Now here it doesn't mean just a physical teacher like me sitting here. It also means, as I chanted the mantra in the beginning, Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. So Sadguru is one who is beyond all opposites and who is all pervading. Sadguru is the Supreme Being himself. Okay. So all spiritual teachers are in some way emanations of the Guru Tattva. Most important is the Guru Tattva, which is connected to the supreme all-pervading reality. The supreme all-pervading reality in the Upanishad has been described as Ishavashyamidam Sarvam, which means there is nothing where it does not exist. I am deliberately using the word it instead of he or she, not to please the ladies, but to say that the supreme reality is beyond all genders. And since it is all pervading, if it is all pervading, it can't be all pervading only on Guru Poornima, right? If it is all pervading, well, you can call he or she as you like, depends. It must be everywhere at all times. Therefore, when you say I go down to the Guru, every day, every minute, every second of our lives, we are going down to the all-pervading Supreme Reality. And one day in a year is reserved, has been fixed from ancient times, to go down to the teachers. Now it includes all the great beings who have guided humanity to the spiritual path. Not only M. So happens that Madanapalle M is here, so we are all coming together for Guru Poornima to go down to the all-pervading reality, which may be little bit expressed and manifested through this M. Whether M means Manushya or Madhukarnath or Maheshwarnath Babaji, we don't know what it is M. Very interesting. Many years ago, I used to go, once or twice, not many times, I went to meet a very interesting person in Tiruvannamale. There used to be a very interesting person in Tirunelveli who came to be known later on as Ram Surat Kumar. He was supposed to be from the north, from the Banaras Hindu University, but he had got out of all universities as a free man. And before the devotees arrested him in a room, he used to live under the Ratha of the temple. When people joined together and put him in a room, locked and arrested him, I am always worried about that. Honestly. In fact, I have a great paranoia. Whenever somebody locks the door, I look out of the window. There's a place to jump out. So, in those days, he was free. He was living. I'm sure he was free, but those days physically also he was free. And he used to just talk and laugh loudly and carry on with his life. So for the first time when I went to see him, suddenly he started laughing. By the time we had shifted to a small room opposite the Ratha, started laughing. And he used to talk mostly in English. I've never heard him talk in Hindi, but generally in English. So suddenly he burst out laughing and he said, "Madanapalle has come, M," he said. Madanapalle has come, M, he said 2-3 times and laughed. So that M has remained. So it's only a symbol. It could be Madanapalle also, M. You know what I mean? So, I think that he was a fine example of a spiritual teacher. This is Guru Poornima, so I am saying this. A man with no moorings and attachments, who when he laughed, it was a natural laughter that came from the abdomen. There are only 2 kinds of people who can laugh like that, from the abdomen. One is a free soul or a Paramahamsa. The other is a person in the asylum. Now there is very little difference between the two in some way. But the difference is positive in this case. So anyway, so there was one guy standing in the queue. People were standing in the queue, and I think he was a businessman from Chettinad or somewhere, I don't know. And the only person who had an umbrella was he, in the queue. And he was not holding the umbrella, he had an assistant. So meanwhile, he said, I had come and sit down. So I said, he looked at that person for some time. When he came in front of him, he said, "What do you want from me?" Because I think that umbrella was there, he ignored him for 1 hour. After 1 hour, he said, "Come, so what do you want?" So the man thought, now there are so many other people sitting, so we should show. We should not be mistaken for a common man. So he said, "Well, I have everything." "Oh, you have everything?" He said. "Oh, then he told me he has everything." Then why are you standing here? "So what can I give you?" He said, "I want peace of mind." But the moment he said, "I want peace of mind," I thought my right shoulder broke. He gave me one shot on my right shoulder, like tack, one. And then he started laughing and laughing. And in between peals of laughter, he said, he used to call himself this beggar. In between peals of laughter, he said, This beggar's mind has gone to pieces and he wants peace of mind. Which piece do you want? So the teachings of the great gurus is that if you really want peace of mind, your mind has to go to pieces. If natural circumstances don't break it, you deliberately break it to pieces. Then you have done your job. The only barrier between that, which we are talking about, not this actually, this is our strong ego. It's our ego that prevents us from looking out. It's not only that physically, that intellectually we should eliminate, I'm not this, I'm not this. That's all fine. That's an intellectual exercise, okay. You know, some people when they say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm the supreme, the way they say it, you know how much ego is there? I'm not the body, I'm not. The first thing to go is not your words, but the fellow who is talking about it. You know? If that goes, once somebody asked Swami Chinmayananda, is there a shortcut, Swamiji, to reach there? No. He said, yeah, there is a shortcut. Shortest cut is to cut the ego into two, but it's a very difficult job. So, if that is attempted, now how do we attempt that? First by looking at us. Now, some people are very uncomfortable with a spiritual teacher. The spiritual teacher may not always keep telling you, you're a good girl, you're a good person. Why? Because it is the function of the teacher to polish the mirror and show it. Now, in a polished mirror, you will see yourself as you actually are. Very hard to look. Usually we like to cover it with something and look. Right? So, if somebody is always praising you, मीठी मीठी बातों से बचना जरा. So, today being Guru Poornima, I wanted to give you an introduction, this much introduction, and give you a couple of stories about freedom, which we all seek but cannot find because we are always seeking. You know, there is a discipline among the Buddhists. I'm not a Buddhist. There are no Buddhists actually. You can either understand the teachings of the Buddha or not understand it. You can't put yourself in a bracket and say, I'm a Buddhist. It's not possible. Anyway, there is the earliest Buddhist teaching which came into Tibet is called the Nyingma Pass. They are the old school. And it was brought by Padmasambhava, who all the Tibetans today refer to as Guru Rinpoche. Padmasambhava brought it. He lived at some point, some place called Udyan in those days, which is a border between Afghanistan and India. So when Padmasambhava introduced this brand of Buddhism, even today they are called the Nyingmas. And among them, there is a deeper teaching which is known as the Dzogchen. If you want to spell Dzogchen in English, you have to actually put a D in front of the Z, because Dzogchen. I don't know why Tibetans have a complicated tongue, I don't know, but it's called Dzogchen. Now the Dzogchen teachings are very close to the Upanishadic teachings, but they have perfected some ways by which practical illustration can be given to a person about how to free the mind and come out of this self-induced, ego-made personality that we carry around with us. We need the ego to function, I understand that, but to recognize that. So in the Dzogchen tradition, there are some stories. So I'll give you one story. I told you, the satsang for the Guru Poornima is in the evening, so we'll get very serious. Now we will talk light. Sometimes light is better than serious, but there was one guy, could be any one of you, who was a student of a great Dzogchen teacher. 13 years he lived with the teacher. At the end of 13 years, he said, "What is this? I have lived with you for 13 years. I don't know what Dzogchen is. I haven't understood a thing. So what is the point of my continuing to be your student? You have taught me nothing. You have taught me to by heart certain things, but you have not given me anything. I have not had any experience of Dzogchen. So what have we been doing for 13 years? My head, of course, is full of teachings. But what are we doing?" So the master said to him, "You see that bag there?" Yeah, I can see the bag. Now he had to say, look twice, because when a master says, "Look at the bag there," instead of a bag, it may be a jackfruit. You can't say. So you saw the bag? Yeah, I see the bag there. Okay. Now, you see a lot of stones lying there? Yes, I can see the stones. Can you fill the bag with stones? So he filled the bag with stones till the bag was full, around this big. Then he said, "Lift it and put it on your head." So the student thought, what is this new stuff now? 13 years I have learned to breathe through this, take out through that. I have learned all the scriptures which are taught to me. Never did anybody ask me to carry weight. Okay, master says so. So he picked it up and put it on his head. Say, see on the hill there? Yeah, I can see the hill. Climb up the hill. He said, "But master, with the weight?" He said, "Yes, with the weight." Climb up the hill. So he trudged along with both his hands here. You can't even go this way. Climbed up with great difficulty. Reached the top. And there, in the middle of the top of the hill, there was one big tree with a lot of shade. When he reached the topmost, he was so tired. And since the master said, "Don't put down the bag," he was still holding it. And the master came up and said, "Now, throw down that bag." He threw the bag. Went and sat under the tree. Breathed and said, "Ah." Then he said, "Master, I think I understand." Because we carry so many unnecessary things in our head. What somebody said, what we read, what hurts, pains, sorrows. 3 days my wife didn't speak to me. I'm not talking about myself. When you reach the top of the hill, you're still carrying the weight. You may be meditating, but it is there. when you dump it and then sit under the tree, take a few deep breaths, there you are. It's all over. Finished. So how to drop the weight? That's all. If you say, is there a technique to drop the weight? I would say, there is no technique. Drop it. Now with that goes all our pretenses, our ideas, our hates, our sorrows. Everything is packed in that bag. But if you can't throw it down, believe me, you cannot swim. A man went to a Sufi teacher who was also supposed to be a good swimming instructor. So he went to him. On his head was a basket full of cabbage. You know, cabbage that we all carry. And then he said, "Sir, I have heard that you are the best swimming instructor here." Hands are here while talking. "Best swimming instructor here. Please teach me how to swim." The master looked at him and he said, "My dear man, I can teach you how to swim. But you will have to put the basket down first." He said, "No, I can't put down the basket." "But if you don't put down the basket, how are you going to swim?" "Okay, so then I'll find a teacher who can teach me swimming while I still have the basket." But if you have a basket, you cannot swim. See? Then, another story from these auction teachings. Then I will come to personal things. First, there was a man who was again with a teacher for many years. And every day he used to crib and complain, "Nothing has happened to me. I'm still the same, there's no change. I haven't found the supreme reality," and so on. So, not that all people go to a teacher to find out about the supreme reality. Many people come to me for toothache and tummy ache and things like that. But even though I keep telling them that I'm not a Vaidya or a doctor or a dentist. Anyway. He went to the teacher and he kept complaining. So they were traveling. One night they came to a beautiful hill. They got off their horses, went up the hill. It was cool and nice, and the entire sky was starlit. Beautiful sky. And there was a gentle breeze with the smell of jasmine flowers coming in the air. So they put all their luggage and got off the horses and lay down on the ground. Beautiful grass. Everything was quiet. The sky was glistening with stars. Far away in the village there were dogs barking. And the smell of jasmine was in the air. So the master told the disciple, "This is Dzogchen. What are you seeking?" That quietness, that there's nothing. Trouble is we try to seek something which we invent ourselves and then go behind it. And if you discover it, you're discovering what you invented. I remember one evening in Chennai, Krishnamurti had come for the talks, and unusually that day they asked him to talk about meditation, which he never did generally. They said today's subject. Actually, he was quite nervous when I went to see him in the evening. He said, "You know what? They asked me to talk about meditation." I said, "But sir, you should talk." No, I don't know what to say. And he went anyway. And then that day for 1 hour, his job was to demolish all the definitions we have for meditation. Whatever we say is meditation, he would say this is not meditation. He would demolish it, saying, how? Somebody says, I have full bliss in samadhi. He said, so when you come out, what happens? Then I don't have. Then you have to go there. So then you are dependent on samadhi. It is like Ashtavakra Gitam, actually. In Ashtavakra Gita, the great sage Ashtavakra comes to see King Janaka, who is a disciple of Yajnavalkya. So he says to the great king, do you think now that you have attained freedom? He said, yes. Why? Because I can go into samadhi and experience the all-pervading. So how often do you go into samadhi? Whenever I want, I go into samadhi. So you come out of samadhi also? Yes. At that time? That time I'm normal. Then he says, you're not free. Because you're dependent on going into samadhi, then coming out, then going. So all the ideas about meditation that we conventionally have, he proceeded to apply the scissors. Finally, there was no definition left. All people, there were Buddhist monks, everybody had given that Neti, not this. The Vedantic dictum Shankara used very frequently. Neti, not this. So finally, when he had cut everything out, and everybody was sitting quietly, it was a beautiful evening. The sun was about to set. Some birds were flying across the sky. Behind them, one crow went, pretending to be a crane. Everything was quiet. It was beautiful. It was meditation, because all other ideas had vanished. That's when this man in the front row stood up and said, "Sir, then what is meditation?" The reaction was quite funny. He put both his hands in his face and said, "Oh God, what a generation." So what I'm trying to say is meditation comes when the mind has no load. Sometimes even if God comes and stands before us, we won't recognize Him or agree that is His God, because we'll say in that book it is not written like that. From this we come to this fact that actually every minute, every second we are face to face with God. Now I am face to face with maybe 600, 700 gods here. Do I have to close my eyes and look for them? And if I look, what will I find? What I believe, what I imagine. Here, they are living in front of me. Now from this comes the other corollary, that the only gods that we actually know are divinity in human forms. All others, till a few years ago, did you know how Lakshmi looked, or not this Lakshmi, or Saraswati looked? It was only when Raja Ravi Varma painted the picture wearing a sari, you began to think. I don't know. But human beings, we know. So when you say service to God, I am serving God, what does it mean? Serving humanity, because it is a possible thing. You can't serve. In fact, that Supreme Being does not need any service from us. You're not a beggar wanting service. Service is to be directed to human beings who are suffering. Yesterday, a very big rich man's daughter came to see me in the evening. Not rich man, rich family, big. Probably the biggest in India, one of them. I have done lot of things. I said, what? My mother has built temples. My mother has... I said, have you given food to a hungry boy or a girl in your life? We have an institution which gives money to orphanages. Not that. Have you seen somebody hungry, sat down and said, this guy is hungry, feed him? Now that is worship. Swami Vivekananda said, serving Daridra Narayana. Because it is only through serving and sacrifice that the mind gets purified. No amount of saying, I am not this body, I am this. There are many people. Ramana Maharshi said that, but we are not Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi, when he said, I am not this body, he knew what he was talking about. But when I say I am not this body, I am merely repeating what he said. And do you think I can reach the Supreme by sitting in one place and saying, who am I, who am I, who am I? If you continue that for 6 months, you'll probably be put in an asylum. It's identity crisis, it's called psychology. Who am I is not understood by repeating who am I. It's understood by looking at oneself and saying, can I be this? Or can I not be this? Now that also requires a clean, pure mind. And according to my understanding, a clear, pure mind comes first with kindness and compassion. Without that, no amount of dry reading is going to help. In which case all Pandits should have realized the Supreme. Unfortunately, they haven't. I'm not saying that there are I'm not talking about Kashmiri Pandits. Please. Nowadays we have to be careful what we say. Talking about Pandit meaning somebody who has only knowledge. I wouldn't even say only knowledge, who has knowledge. Now when people who have only theoretical understanding of things, who might have by-hearted the Vedas, when they start leading people to supreme understanding, it reflects the words of the Mundaka Upanishad, which says, Andheineva niyamana yatandaha, the blind leading the blind. It's not from Shakespeare, it's 2000 years old. Andheineva niyamana yatandaha. And the Upanishad is exactly referring to those who think that they know everything because they have read everything. So sometimes too much reading also becomes a barrier. We have to be free. It's good to read, but then we have to be free of it after some time. You can use knowledge to clear your mind, but in the end, knowledge itself should not become a barrier to understanding. Sai Baba of Shirdi said this in a very simple way, in his own normal, simple way of talking. He said, suppose I'm walking in the garden and I kick on a thorn. There's a thorn inside my heel. Now how do I take it out? I search and I find another thorn, which is bigger than the old one. I use it and I pick out the thorn that has gone in using the second thorn. After that, what do? Do I stick the second thorn or do I throw away both? So knowledge is meant to remove ignorance. After that, because the supreme reality which we seek cannot be understood by any words. When all words have ceased, it is. And it's not far to seek because it is all pervading. So it has to be everywhere. So where do I seek for something which is everywhere? I have to understand this. There is a famous Qawwali song sung by Swami Vivekananda was very fond of it. I also have sung this song somewhere. तो जिसे हमने दिल को लगाया जो कुछ है सो तुम. This song was actually authored by the last Mughal emperor, Jafar Shah, who was of course banished to Burma by the British after the Indian Revolution. And the last sentence of this is सोचा समझा देखा पाया तू जैसा कहीं न ढूंढ निकाला. I looked, I observed, I tried to find out, I investigated, but I couldn't find you anywhere. Then अब ये समझ में जाफर के आया जो कुछ है सो तू ही है. Where am I searching? Everything is you, including the searcher. So, to understand that God or the Supreme Being is not far from us, to use a Sufi terminology, He is nearer to you than your own jugular vein. And not get caught up in too many complications. Lead a simple life. When you are silently sitting somewhere, once in a while run away from your busy schedules, take some time off. Go and sit quietly in some place. More nearer to nature, the better. Put off your phone. World is not going to fall because of my phone. Today I am not carrying my phone, I left it behind. Sit quietly, look at the trees, understand that the Supreme Reality is everywhere. Open your eyes or close your eyes, it doesn't matter. Sit quietly, take a few deep breaths and just sit. When you touch that peace, then you will want it more and more. When you want it more and more, you have started working on the path. Once you start walking on the path, don't stop. Keep walking like Johnny Walker. You've seen the hoardings. Keep walking. I'm not talking about the spirit in the bottle. I'm just giving. Incidentally, after my second book came out, which is The Journey Continues, when we were going on our Padayatra, everywhere we used to see this hoarding in cities. Keep walking, Johnny. And now I went the other day and I saw they've changed the thing on. Now it's called The Journey. I'm wondering if they're watching us carefully. So get ready to walk. Pick up your walking sticks. Take off your hats, it doesn't matter. And walk, because the journey is continuing. Keep walking. Don't stop, keep walking. The thing is, once you stop, you're stuck. That's why the Paramahamsas, the great yogis, never stayed for more than 3 days in one place. They kept moving, because they thought, if I stay for more than 3 days, I'm stuck. That's why the Jain Munis, when they go They are the only people you see walking. When we had our Padayatra, anybody we saw road walking, it was them. Nobody else was there. I told them also, we don't see anybody else doing this. And when they go for Bhiksha, they make sure that they don't go to one place all the time. Because then what will happen? They'll get stuck there. Keep moving. Because then you become familiar. Once you become familiar, then the roots become strong, and that's it. You're finished. So, where do we find the true sannyasin now? True sannyasin is one who takes food where it comes from and moves from place to place and doesn't have any fixed connections. Only such a person can be called a sannyasin, really. I'm not talking about the arranged bhikshas, talking about real ones. That is very easy. Tomorrow I'll say, hey, tomorrow I want to have lunch with you. So it will be named Bhiksha. And I'll go there and you'll make such good food that next day I can't meditate. I mean, I know it's done out of love and affection, but you know what I mean. One culprit, he makes a lot of food in Kannur. I know. So I think we have kind of covered some topics. The main topic is to find absolute peace and quietness in the heart. Without that, nothing is important. You may be married, you may be unmarried. Actually, it doesn't matter really. Can we live peacefully? Can we spread that peace to others? Can we not frown at people all the time? Can we smile? Can we laugh? Not the artificial smile, that's not what I'm talking about. That they are taught in the airlines. When our happiness shows by itself, reveals to others, there's a genuine smile. It's not, the other smile is close, finished. Not like that. So, this is what I wanted to tell you in a very informal manner. What we are seeking is already here. What we find is what we actually don't seek. And to let go of all this and remain in peace is the quietness that begins the journey. This is what I wanted to tell you. Believe me, every person has some handicap or some problem. There is nobody who does not have. Somebody may be rich and suffering. Somebody may be poor and suffering. Somebody may have everything but no children. Somebody may have 6 children but no food. Somebody may have made 100 crores in 1 year or 5 years in power and go to jail. Suffering never leaves anybody. It is there always. Now make friends with it. Understanding that it is always there, make friends. The moment you try to run away from it, it will try to grasp you. The moment you learn to face it, it shies away. This is something in the lives of yogis, Yogis who have tried to lead the life simply have found that once upon a time, when they wanted everything, nothing came to them. They were always crying for it. Once they became free of it, everything is running behind them. And they are running away from it. Which is what Jesus Christ said when he said, "Seek you first the kingdom of the Lord, and the rest shall be added unto you." But we want to add everything, rest first, and then seek. Not possible. start the seeking first. The rest comes or goes, who cares? Finally, this is where we go. We have come from there and we go back there. Retrace your journey to the source. It's not so complicated. Please, if somebody says complicated, don't believe them. And please also don't think that you will reach there only if you learn Kriya. Sorry. There is nothing like that. There is no technique. Understanding is important. Thank you very much. Namaskar. It's going to be 12, so I'll move. Sorry. Now in this 1 hour and 45 minutes, I spoke a lot. Yap, I was going on. And you were also patiently listening to it. I'm sure at least few people would have thought, when is this fellow going to shut up lunchtime? But I've talked a lot. What I wanted to tell you was a little story before we end. It's one of my favorite stories. You know, there used to be a great scholar, saint, you can call what you want. Shastri, learned man, Pandit, whose name was Ganapati Shastri. And he was a great poet, so he was also called Kavyakanta Ganapati Shastrigal. There's nothing in Vedanta or Sri Vidya or whatever which he did not know about. But still he found that there was some barrier which he could not break. Because he was a sincere seeker looking for the truth. He found there was always this barrier which he could not break. He tried everything possible. He studied. I don't think there was in those days any scholar better in the Upanishads than him, or who had studied the Tantras so much deeply as he did. He did everything he knew. So one day, in his wanderings, he went to Tiruvannamalai. So at that time, Maharshi was not known. Ramana Maharshi was not known. He was unknown, almost unknown. He lived in the cave in Skanda Ashrama. Somebody told Ganapati Shastrigal, there is one, nobody knew his name, one Brahmana Swami is sitting there in Skanda Ashrama. You go and see him, perhaps he will help you. So he went up there and he waited for 1 full hour, because he saw him sitting there in front of the cave, Maharshi, but his eyes were focused far away, just sitting there. Have you seen any photograph of Ramana Maharshi with closed eyes? No. But there is no inside and there is no outside. Both are same. Anyway, so he was sitting looking. Eyes were focused somewhere else, or rather unfocused. So he sat in front of him. 1 hour he sat. No sign of recognition, no sign. After 1 hour, slowly the eyes shifted and looked at him. And you know that he hardly talked, not like me. For 2 hours I've been yapping here. So he just lifted his hand and did like this. Which means what? Enna, what? So Ganapati Shastrigal, he was waiting for the cue to come. As soon as he did this, he started off. Told him everything from the beginning, what scriptures he had studied, what practices he had done, what mantras he had chanted. Half an hour to 40 minutes, he gave him a lecture, complete about himself, total. He said, I've done all this, but I haven't touched the truth. What more shall I do to find the truth? Maharshi heard and sat very patiently. Then he smiled. And he said, Konja neram summa irukka mudiyuma. Can you shut up for a few minutes? That's what it means, Tamil. Can you just shut up for a few minutes? That's all. He shut up for a few minutes. And then he came down and said, my job is done. So that's what it is. So I'm going to shut up. Thank you.